Spartans! What is your profession?
Yes, people, another edition of Knightz Roundtable Discussions where we discuss all sports all the time. Got my guy, The Truth, with me. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Nice weekend so far. Can't complain.
Yeah, it's been a decent weekend so far, but the weather, football's still keeping us going, but
Yeah, man.
it is what it is. We may have Mr. KA making a flash appearance, but we shall wait and see what happens with that. But before we get into it, as usual, people, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Get them comments up, get them likes up, get the subscriptions up as well. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an aunt, to tell their goldfish that we are on. More content coming out consistently all the time. Bit different today, no football talk. We're going to leave that till after tomorrow when we see what happens. But we are shifting over. We had to do one, shifting over to the NBA because a certain bearded fellow has got his wish. Yes, we are talking about James Harden moving over to join Kyrie and KD at the Brooklyn Nets. It was a 4-team trade deal that saw Harden go to the Nets, saw Oladipo go to Houston, saw, who's the other one?
Levert's went to Pacers.
Yeah, Levert's was at Pacers. Jared Allen and Taurean Prince went to Cleveland. It's all a big jumble and picks and all sorts that went on, but the main focus was James Harden joining KD and Kyrie at the Brooklyn Nets. Truth, before, when we had the rumblings, what was going on, we we were talking about it and saying that the deal was going to go through. We predicted how it would happen. Your initial thoughts on the deal getting over the line?
My initial thoughts was a shock because I didn't think. I know it got to the stage. Harden played the game. He played the game and he played it well because it got to the stage where Houston could not keep him. No matter what, Houston couldn't keep him, so they had to sell him. The guy was there. He was disrespecting his team. He was out of shape. Like, he looked disinterested. You know, talking about his teammates in the post game conference. So it got to the stage where he had to go. But I just didn't think that Nets would have put together a package good enough for the Rockets. But it just shows what throwing your toys at the pram could do. Because when you look at it on paper, Nets were able to keep Kyrie. They kept Harris. You know, they still kept their starters. What Nets did do, though, they lost their bench. They lost their bench. They lost two of their best defenders in Prince and Allen. And they've lost their future in terms of picks. So, you know, how it goes, it's a literally wait and see now for how it's going to go because nobody knows how this experiment is going to go. I know Chris Broussard called it a chemistry experiment. And that's what it is. You've got three players who you wouldn't say match in terms of being on the basketball court. We know that James Harden and Kyrie love the ball in their hand. Even to an extent, KD likes the ball in his hand. Yeah, they love the ISO. KD likes the ball in his hand, but KD's less so. He could give the ball up. We've seen that in Golden State. But you got two guys that love the ball and probably need the ball in their hand to be dangerous. So it's going to be up to one of them to sacrifice. And you know the comments that's been going around. You got Batman, you got Robin, and you got Alfred. People are disrespecting Kyrie. They're calling him Alfred. I don't think he's Alfred. I think he's more like Batwoman because, you know, he's on his period. You don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know what he's going to say. It's his time. When his time of the month comes, don't be around Kyrie because he could say, do anything, and he's still missing. So apparently he's due back, but Kyrie is still MIA. So watch that space.
Listen, they come in like the Powerpuff Girls, bruv. These three come in like the Powerpuff Girls. You got KD, who's Blossom. You got James Harden, who's Buttercup, and Kyrie is Bubbles, bruv. Kyrie is Bubbles, bruv.
That's like Kyrie. Yeah, actually, yeah. Nah. Bubbles was the bubbly one. I think Kyrie's Buttercup because as I said, he's bipolar. He's bipolar. In a minute, he could just switch. Like, he's a bipolar dude, man.
Listen. Don't disrespect Kyrie, bruv. The earth is flat as far as we're concerned.
Oh
man. But back to these three. It is mad. I personally didn't think the deal was going to happen for Brooklyn. I thought he would have gone 76ers, especially with the fact that 76ers in the end were willing to give up Ben Simmons to the Houston Rockets. So I'm very surprised that Houston took the deal what they had, but obviously player power and whatever reasons it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Having these three together now, right? I know you've spoken about the fact that it's a bit of a mismatch. It's putting three big players together and seeing how it works. It is an experiment to a certain extent. It has to be championship or bust for them, doesn't it? It can't be anything else.
It's hard because if I was KD, I would want this to be a free year for me because he's coming back from injury. It's a new team. We saw Miami in 2011. Even though they reached the final, they did lose to Dallas, and it wasn't a smooth start. I remember that season. It took them a while to get going. About 20 something games to get going. So if I was KD, I'd be looking at that, and KD knows he's got his boy Kyrie there, who's, as I said, is MIA. Harden has to get back into shape, so it's gonna be a lot to work out in a short space of time. It's not really the season where you want to really build chemistry. It's a season where you want to spend a whole season building chemistry, not just the season, because there's COVID, canceling games. It might stop, it might start. We're unsure. We don't know if their playoffs is going to be in a bubble or you're going to be traveling home. There's loads of factors. So to concentrate on, and you don't want to be really concentrating on this season being championship or bust. And if it's championship or bust, they need to get it sorted as soon as. Like, they need to get Kyrie playing as soon as. They need to get Harden in shape as soon as. They need to get all three of them playing as soon as. So, is it championship or bust? If I was KD, I wouldn't be saying it. But when you put those three together, the pressure is immense, especially for James Harden.
I was just about to ask that question. Who do you think the most pressure is on?
Harden, for sure. Harden, because he left to get a ring. He left to get a chip. Because he had his own team, he has everything he wanted at Houston. He could go to the toilet and then someone else will come wipe his ass for him. He was the man at Houston. So when you leave that situation to go win a chip, you have to win a chip. You have to win a chip. KD's already got his chip. Kyrie, say what you want about him, but he's got his chip too. But so Harden, definitely the pressure's on. And trust me, if fans are allowed back in the stadium and they're going back to Houston, that atmosphere, boy. And you got Boogie there. Boogie didn't hold back. Boogie's gonna make sure he leaves an elbow in or something on his phone.
I mean, look at what Boogie did against us the other day, Rev. He was going nuts. He had to get ejected in the end.
Boogie's an animal, he's crazy.
I was just like, this guy's trying to hurt people for what? It's not our fault that you were on the sideline for all that time. Like, how is that our fault? You know what I mean? When I say our, I mean the LA Lakers people, if you didn't already know. But yeah, it's true. If fans are allowed back in the stadium and he goes back to Houston, he's gonna get more than booed. They're gonna have to have security for him because I don't think. Listen, I think the Houston fans have an appreciation of how long James Harden was there for. I mean, he was MVP while he was there. I think he was averaging 29 when he was there. 28 or 29 over the past 5 seasons when he was there, and he gave it his all apart from in the playoffs because he choked. But I think the fans could understand if they understood that he wanted to leave. It's the way how he's gone about it that would have irked the fans and pissed them off because of calling out other players and the disharmony and the not caring and the getting out of shape. So the way how he's maneuvered his way out of Houston is the reason why the fans will get on him. And rightly so, because irrespective, I know he wants to leave and he shouldn't be held to ransom, but you sign a contract for a reason. If they want to keep you to your contract, they can keep you to your contract. You're the one that signed it. If the right deal doesn't come, they can hold you there. It is what it is. It's not against your free will. If you were smart, you would have signed shorter term deals, but you wanted that max contract. It's as simple as that. So my whole thing is that for you to go and start calling out players and getting out of shape on purpose is ridiculous. Yes, you were there to play, but you weren't playing at full potential. You weren't playing like to say, okay, let me play until I get my move. You were like, if I let me just disrupt everything because this thing isn't going as quickly as I wanted it to and I want out. Yeah. And that's what you did. So if the fans hate you, don't come out and say, oh yeah, they didn't appreciate what I did and blah, 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 because they would have if you would have done the right thing. Yeah. But you didn't. It's as simple as that.
I think he's set a bad precedent in terms of going forward now, because as far as I've seen, I've been watching the sport. Players have wanted to leave. I remember when AD wanted to leave the Pelicans. I remember when Kawhi wanted to leave Spurs. Yes, they left unceremoniously, but they didn't go to the extent that Harden went through. He literally put his teammates in danger when it came to going to strip clubs, showing he didn't care, wasn't showing up for training, being late to training, purposely getting out of shape. I think that's the worst thing. When you purposely get out of shape and look the way he did, because remember, only 3 months ago, everyone was saying, oh, Harden was skinny. So he's literally gone from skinny to freaking Rick Ross, old Rick Ross, in the space of 3 months. So, and it's just, and then when you start saying to your team that your team isn't good enough, I think it was too much. It's too much for me. He set a bad precedent. Going forward, if players want to leave now, I don't know how the NBA can get it back, to be honest. I don't know how the NBA could wriggle the power away from the players.
It's true. We can only hope that players won't do that and they have a little bit more respect for whichever franchise that they're with, and they don't go down that route that Harden went down, because it is disrespectful and it's completely unprofessional as well. Like, completely unprofessional. Yeah, you can say that he hasn't gone MIA like Kyrie, but at the same time, you're turning up and just there just to be there. Not because you want to be there, not because you want to try, not because you want to try and win the game. You're just there, just, oh yeah, let me. It's like one of them raves that you don't really want to go to, but you know all the peoples are going to be there, and you're going to be like, you know what, let me just show my face. Let me just go there and show my face. But you have no enthusiasm or nothing to be there whatsoever. That's basically what Harden has done in this sense with the Houston Rockets. Right. He's there. Kyrie's there. We all know the drama that comes with Kyrie. But Harden has his own dramas as well. We've just spoken about, obviously, the way that he's gotten out of Houston. But even before that, and it's something you alluded to in terms of throwing them together, Harden has been put with players that he has handpicked at Houston. He was with Chris Paul. It didn't work. He was with Dwight Howard. It didn't work. He was with Russell Westbrook, him and him are they're supposed to be boys, and it still didn't work. So Harden comes with his own baggage and his own issues. He even was with Durant when Harden, when Harden was irrelevant. No one expected Harden to get to where he got to, which is credit to him. But when that great OK, Mr. K isn't here, but that great OKC side that didn't fulfill their potential, he was irrelevant there. Can these three coexist? Can, more so, Kyrie and Harden coexist on the court at the same time? Who is going to be that man that has to go and stand up in the corner to shoot threes?
Can they coexist? Okay, so before the trade, I was sure that it wouldn't work. But what Harden showed me is that he's desperate for the chip. He's desperate for it. So he will do anything. And if that means becoming Chris Bosh, I think he will do that.
It's not going to come Chris Bosh.
No, I think
going to be Chris Bosh.
I don't think Kyrie can. That's the reason why. I don't think Kyrie can. Because look, if Kyrie's not on the ball, what does he offer you? He's a subpar defender. Nothing. He can't really catch and shoot. He can't really catch and shoot. He's not a facilitator. At least Harden has facilitated before. At least a facilitator. And he has improved his defense. You know, we've seen his defense. And he's already practiced last year not having the ball as much with Westbrook. That Westbrook, even though it failed, he did practice not having the ball as much. So I think he's so desperate for the chip that he would be the one to be Alfred. Only thing is that I don't believe that they have enough on the team to make it work, to cover their weaknesses. Because if those three are on the court,
defensively, they're going to struggle.
Defensive. There's loads of people they won't be able to stop, and then they're going to be looking at one of them getting hot and like just popping off, and I mean popping off from three. And yes, KD, Harden, they're all good 3-point shooters, but KD's main game is his mid range. Like he's not, he's good from three, but his mid range game is where it's at. Harden needs to get hot from three. Kyrie needs to have the ball in his hand. There's just so much work to do. But I do believe Harden would be the one to sacrifice. And that's why it might somehow work.
Fair enough. That is fair enough. I think, defensively they are going to struggle a lot in the playoffs, especially on the inside. Yeah. In terms of trying to stop in the East, trying to stop Giannis is going to be a massive problem for them. I think their mantra will be, we're just going to outscore our opponents. Yeah, try and outscore our opponents. And the thing is, obviously, KD's KD. KD's going to get his 25 points. That's just standard. Like, he's standardly going to get his 25 points. Yeah. James Harden, another one, can get his points. Kyrie is an enigma in itself. He'll either turn up or he doesn't. But can they coexist? I think as long as they're winning, it will be fine. I think the problem will come in the playoffs if they, for example, were to go 2-0 down in a series. Yeah. Because then we will see, well, first of all, before any of that, we got to make sure that Harden turns up in the playoffs. That's the first thing. But after that, if they went 2-0 down in the series, then we would see the egos and the personalities really come out. And then we'll see that ISO ball of Harden, the ISO ball of Kyrie, and then KD will start getting frustrated because he's not getting the ball. So, but as long as they're winning, I just think they will keep ticking over as far as they're concerned. But I think the minute that there's a little bit of adversity and they go down, Harden and Kyrie can't help themselves because they're all about themselves. They are all about themselves and nobody else. They're selfish players. So it will become about them trying to either score the last minute shot or trying to get the most amount of points or trying to dig themselves out of a sticky situation. Because it's just their nature. But yeah, as long as they're winning, I just think that you'll see it. It'll be bubbling under, but they'll just keep it going and moving forward.
I think there's just too many, as you said. I think what you just alluded to, just with that statement, that there's just too many questions as of right now to know how successful this team is going to be or not. There's just too many questions, as you said. If they're 2-0 down, what needs to come into play is something that we haven't seen yet, and that's KD's leadership. Can he lead a team? When we call LeBron the best player in the world right now, we're not calling LeBron the best player in the world skill-wise. We're talking about the complete package. Can you lead a team? You know, AD alluded to it, what LeBron did to make sure the team got over the line in terms of the experience, in terms of talking to them how to win a chip, what you need to do on the defensive side, on the offensive side. You know, that's what makes you the best player in the world. It's not just the skill, because each of them always have individual skills that, you know, that's their mantra. You know, Harden step back three, KD's mid range, Kyrie's handles. You know, they've all got certain things, but can you be led? Can you be inspired to be led to go and grab the chip? And at the moment, there's just too many questions that need to be answered. So I can't make a definite statement how this team is going to be. It's literally a wait and see. As you said, it could implode, it could all blow up all of a sudden, or as you said, if they're winning, they'll just keep on ticking over because they have the talent.
They do have the talent. And listen, I have no doubt that this team could go and outscore their opponents in any game just because of the amount of firepower that they have. If these three can get it right, they can outscore anybody. I know defensively they'll be poor, but they'll be able to outscore anybody because there's just too much talent for them not to. Before we look ahead to their matchups in the East and then obviously in the West, we gotta talk about the third wheel in this, which is Kyrie. He's MIA at the moment, and I'm not gonna go into it because it's not about Kyrie, it's about Harden. But if the murmurs that are coming out, Stephen A's already mentioned it, about Kyrie's contract being terminated by the Brooklyn Nets, because I think if he's already been fined for breaking COVID rules. But if they terminated his contract, would it benefit Harden and KD if Kyrie wasn't at Brooklyn?
100%. 100%. I believe, and I said this, we said this in the NBA preview. I said this in the NBA preview. I believe adding Harden to this side makes Nets weaker. But if they were to get rid of Kyrie, terminate his contract, and get another player in on the money, not even on the money that Kyrie's on, but a decent player, for that money,
someone
that
to
actually
defend
suits
it
the team.
inside.
Exactly, someone to just defend, even if it's a good wing defender. Someone that could just defend, do all the dirty work, be a number three. So you could have KD as number one and then Harden as number two, and that person doesn't mind being a number three. Then that would make, for me, Nets the favorites, because that would be an actual big three. But with Kyrie there, for me, the balance isn't there. So definitely, if his contract to get terminated, I think Nets would actually have a better opportunity.
So you don't believe this Nets team is our favorites now with those three?
I'm not even putting them favorites in the East. I put 3 teams above them in the East.
Wow.
I think Bucks, because they don't have anyone to stop Giannis. Well, Giannis might stop himself if he if he goes for the free throw if he goes for the free throw line. But I don't think they got anyone to stop Giannis, and Bucks they can hit that 3 like it's no one's business. That 3 right now, Middleton is just burning. Drew Holiday has started to come in and made the team a lot more complete. So yeah, on that regards, I think Bucks are ahead of them. I thought Celtics were going to struggle, but Tatum and Jaylen Brown have taken up a level this year. I've seen them playing together. They've been amazing, and Kemba.
Yeah, they have.
Kemba's not even back yet.
Kemba needs to come back as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think their team gives a lot of the bigger teams issue because they're a good team, they're a good unit, and they play off one another. And then also, I think Heat, when everyone is back, I think they have too much energy as well, and they're too honest for a team like the Nets. I don't think Kyrie and Harden and even KD are willing to work that hard without the ball that you need to work with against the Heat. And the Heat are just going to go from minute 1 all the way to minute 48. So that's the 3 teams that I literally put on top of the Nets at the moment. The Nets are fourth to me.
Fourth? Nah.
Even with the firepower, I can't put the Nets there. I just can't, because it's just the work that they need to do. If there's no fans. So these young teams, these young players that Celtics and Heat have, they benefit from having no fans, and they're just gonna work hard. They're gonna work hard, and I don't think Nets. Go on.
They can work hard, but I think AD, LeBron, Rondo, they all proved experience counts for a lot, and I can accept the Bucks argument, even though Giannis still has yet to prove, but now he's got shooters around him. There's really not many excuses for him, but coming up against these 3 is an excuse for him. The Celtics, so much talented players, but I think their coach is the issue why they won't get over the line against certain teams. And yeah, you're right about the Heat, but as I said, I think the Heat last season was a season like no other, and they just benefited from that. Not writing them off, but I think they've still got to grow a lot more, and they haven't got enough to compete with the really good teams. Even I know they did a number on Giannis, but now Giannis has got shooters. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But for me, they have to be the favourites, the Nets. I'm sorry, you can't.
For the whole thing, or
for the whole thing, for the whole thing, they have to be your favourites. Listen,
definitely. I don't see them beating I don't even see them beating Clippers, let alone Lakers. Shall I tell you why?
Pandemic P.
No. Listen, why? It's not even Pandemic P. If there's anyone, forget, there's no one in the NBA that can guard Kevin Durant apart from one person, Kawhi. I remember Kawhi in that series at Spurs. As soon as he went down, Golden State.
Yeah, I remember.
But that first game, he just clamped. And he is the person that can guard KD. And then if you leave up to the other 2, I think Harden is prone to going cold. Kyrie is a enigma. So if you could keep KD quiet, then you're favorites. And no other team has a KD stopper apart from Clippers.
No, you've got a valid point. The reason why I say these guys have to be favorites is for the simple fact that when you look throughout NBA history, anyone that's had the big 3 has won the chip. Yeah. Any team that's had a big 3 has won the chip, and you've got 2 MVP players and an all-star caliber player in Kyrie on that team, and none of the other teams have that. Tatum and Brown and Kemba, you'd say all-star who can become MVP caliber players. Giannis is MVP. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, you'd say they're all-star players. For the Heat, You got Butler, who's potential MVP. Bam, future MVP for sure. He's brilliant. And then you got Dragic's experience, all-star. In the West, obviously you got Kawhi, MVP, Pandemic P, all-star-ish. All-star-ish. Serge is a good player. Lakers, you got LeBron, second of all time. You got AD, MVP caliber player. Schroeder, and you got Peace, but no one has what the Brooklyn Nets has offensively. No one has what Brooklyn Nets has, and I'm sorry. I know you said about Kawhi, and I completely agree. But I don't think the rest of the team. Well, I know Harden goes missing in the playoffs, but if Harden knows that he's got Kyrie and KD to rely on, and not just a Chris Paul or a Russell Westbrook, I think he then becomes more. I think he becomes more relaxed, and then he then becomes that guy. Because let's be honest, Paul George, he can defend. Can he stop James Harden? No, not really. Pat Bev against Kyrie is a mismatch upon mismatches. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, listen, it's a mismatch upon mismatches. So, you know, when I look at all of that against the Lakers, it'll be close. But I think the reason why the Lakers wouldn't beat this team now compared to last season is because obviously we've lost a lot of people on the inside. So that inside scoring wouldn't be as prolific as what it was when we had Dwight and JaVale and who was the other person? Dwight, JaVale, and
it's those two. Dwight and JaVale in terms of height.
Oh yeah, and AD as well. Yeah. So that's why they have to be the favorites for me. I get 100% they need to gel and build the chemistry, but if you got a big three like that, you have to win the chip, or else there's no point. What's the point if you're not going to win anything?
It's true. That's a good point when you say, as you said, you don't put a big three together to win tomorrow. You put a big three together to win today. You make a good point about Harden. I was actually gonna bring that point to you. I was like, since Harden now, previous in the past, he's had to do it on his on his own, because CP3 went down against
crucial times as well.
Yeah, at crucial state. So he has to do it on his own. Now he can go cold, and you have KD there. That is a huge backup plan. You got Kyrie there if your handles aren't working. So that does make him a lot more dangerous. The only thing I saw, especially last year though, was that when he doesn't have the ball in his hand as much, he does not affect the game.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
but that's the two of them. That's the two of them. I think if you take the ball out of Harden's hands, or you take the ball out of Kyrie's hands, they're useless. Whereas at least with KD, you can facilitate. He can back someone up and then get the mid-range going. In terms of the other two, they're either free guys or they're driving to the basket. So, which in turn they need the ball in their hands to do what they need to do. This is the whole thing where I can understand the doubt, and I can understand to a certain. Don't get me wrong, I understand your point saying why they're not favorites, because when you look at everyone else and how they gel, and I've just got what's that? Just got something come up saying Harden will be making his debut tonight.
Kyrie's back tonight as well, so.
Oh, is he?
We might have a preview.
You saying he's gone from his sabbatical? He's come back from his sabbatical. Like,
that's the thing, we don't know. We don't know. Steve Nash still doesn't. Steve, and I think we're forgetting this factor. They have Steve Nash, who has a lot to prove. This is his first thing at coaching. He clearly doesn't have control of the team. No. Clearly. Already from day one.
Them men there are doing what they want.
Exactly. So when push comes to shove, and then it comes down to those clutch, because they are going to be clutch games. I think against Celtics, Heat, Bucks, it's going to come down to game 6s, game 7s. It's going to come down into the fourth quarter. Who is going to be running the plays? Nash is going to be like, we're going to play 4-4-2 or FIFA.
Man saying, man, they might as well start doing Rabonas.
So yeah, no, but Nash is gonna have his plans, but we know Kyrie, Harden, and even KD, they're gonna be like, we know how to win. You know, KD and Kyrie are saying it themselves. You know, it comes down to the end of it, they're gonna just freestyle. And that's not going to work in playoffs in clutch time. We know that doesn't work. It's all about the strategy. It's all about the plays. It's the plays that win the games.
But there are going to be clutch moments, and I completely agree with you. But here's the issue for the other team. In them clutch moments, who do you mark? Because all three of them can take the shot.
KD.
So who do you stop? Obviously, you try. Obviously, KD is the go-to. But imagine the fact that KD knows if it doesn't work, I've still got two other guys that can take the ball, and I trust them to kill the game.
They are not killers. I'm sorry.
Not so much Harden in the playoffs.
Not Kyrie either. I know Kyrie hit that shot. But he has a so how could this be possible? People say LeBron isn't clutch. LeBron has a higher percentage than all three of those guys of game tying or going ahead winners. You know, so if LeBron isn't clutch, then definitely all three of them aren't clutch. But KD has more ice in his veins than those two.
He's got more ice in his veins than Sub-Zero, bro. Let's be realistic.
That's the thing. Those two are proved. And Kyrie he's not mentally there yet for me. He's not mentally there. When he was younger, he had that young, free spirit role. Now he's older, but he's not mentally there to be like, oh, I'm going to run this play and then I'm going to get the shot. He's just like, I'm going to try to be a hero and flop like he did against, forgot who they missed a shot against. Was it Hawks? Can't remember who they missed a shot against. When they both missed.
When was this? That's going to bug me now. I remember because the both of them missed.
Yeah.
The both of them missed.
I think it was Hawks. I think it was Hawks.
Was it not Philly? No, Philly was the other day. That was someone else. Sorry.
Wizards.
Yeah, because Bradley Beal scored 40 in that game, did he?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Wizards.
But, it was Wizards.
Yeah.
Boy. It's mad. It is mad. I mean, we've got three guys. That's the good thing about this. Whenever we've seen a big three, it's a shoo-in that they're gonna win it. Yeah. Even with these three being as great as they are, there's still doubt as to whether or not they can coexist to win a chip. And that is not a reflection, or that's not people being negative. That's a reflection on the players that are there. That's exactly what it is. When they threw Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen all together, there was no doubts because they all did something different. When they threw LeBron and D Wade as a big two, and then Bosh, who I don't know why it was called a big three. It wasn't a big three, but when Ray Allen came and made it a big three, right? Again,
that was you, Bosh, like that.
Again, they knew what was going on. Golden State, Steph, Clay, KD, Draymond, they all had different qualities and they all knew what they were doing. It's only now that we have, and it's purely because it's Harden and Kyrie.
Yeah.
It's purely because it's Harden and Kyrie. It's not so much on KD. It's because of Kyrie and Harden why there's doubt as to whether or not these guys can coexist to win a chip. But as you said, Harden is desperate for it. So they're going to have to do something. Someone's going to have to give up the ball in order to get them over the line.
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
Go on.
KD. Okay. What does he need to do to get the respect of the NBA media circle, the NBA fans? What does he have to do to be put in the same category? Not as LeBron, but don't know who to pay him on the category. Well, where would you rank? KD's a hard person to rank. He's a very hard person to rank. On one side, you have the most efficient scorer of the basketball we have ever seen. Ever seen. His mid-range jumper, some people say, is second to only that of MJ.
Mm.
You know, he can pull up from three. He could drive. He can do it all. He's won 2 chips. Um, where would you put him? Like, where do you rank him? Because I find it hard to rank KD.
What, rank him in terms of in the NBA right now?
Yeah, no, just in of all time,
in all time.
Yeah, because you got a player that can be an all timer, but then unfortunately his chips at Golden State don't count.
If he wins a chip at Brooklyn, it's not going to count, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it would have counted if it was just him and Kyrie. And if Kyrie's contract gets terminated and it's just him and Harden, it will count, right? But because it's them, it's the three. He's basically gone and done it again. He's gone and got two of the best players in the NBA with himself to win chips, and it's like, no, you can't do that. MJ, all right, MJ had Rodman, but it was him and Rodman. Obviously, there were other pieces as well, but it's him and Rodman. They were a twosome. Kobe and Shaq, and then later on, Kobe did it on his own. Then you had LeBron. Now, the reason why LeBron gets a pass is because his three was nothing in comparison to the 4 that he had to play at Golden State. That's why he's no longer got that stigma attached to him. Because people forget he had Kyrie and Kevin Love at Cleveland. Because he was going up against Golden State.
He had Kevin Love. At that time, Kyrie was just a young up and coming.
But no. Because he was a young up and coming, but Kyrie wasn't the young up and coming. It was like Alonzo Ball or something like that. He was a young up and coming.
He never had a playoff game.
He was young up and coming in the ranks of like a Zion Williamson coming into the NBA, where in which people saw the talent and they knew he was good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So, and that complemented the other two. So, but the reason why LeBron gets a pass is because the 4 that he beat to get there, like even though the whole thing with Draymond and all the rest of it shouldn't have counted, but that's why he no longer has that stigma attached to him. KD right now can't have it unless he only does it with one other person and then have pieces. If it was just him and Kyrie and he had Dinwiddie and LeVert and Jared Allen and they went and won the chip, I therefore then put KD and start talking about him in conversations with the likes of like Dirk Nowitzki and Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and all the rest of it. I start having them. No, not yet. Not yet for Shaq. Because Shaq did it with Kobe and then he did it with D Wade. So,
but don't you think? Okay, so I was thinking about it like deeply as well, because just thinking about it as well. Don't you think though, just because of the chemistry experiment that they have together, that if they were to win, it would be an achievement? Because you wouldn't give it to him?
Nah, I'm not giving it to him. I'm sorry. I'm not giving it to him. KD has to do more. If KD would have done it with OKC when they were young pups in this game, and James Harden wasn't who he was. All right, he had Westbrook and Ibaka, but everyone was up and coming. If he would have done it then, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. But you had to leave there because you couldn't get it done. You couldn't have your own team and get it done. You went to Golden State and joined Steph's team. All right, you got your 2 rings, fair enough. Tick box, you got the rings. You've gone to Brooklyn. Yes, this is your team. I 100% get that. But you didn't need James Harden to do it. And this is my point. And that just says to me, so what? Are you scared? Were you that scared of Giannis and what he's doing? Were you that scared of what Boston was doing? Or were you that scared of LeBron and AD at the Lakers or Kawhi and Pandemic P at the Clippers that you needed James Harden on top of having Kyrie? Or is it a case of you didn't trust Kyrie, so you needed James Harden? Like, these are the things. And if it's a case of if he doesn't trust Kyrie and doesn't think that Kyrie's going to be there, fair enough. If Kyrie takes no part in this season, barely any part in this season, and KD goes and wins it, even with Kyrie on the roster, I'll be like, all right, cool. He's answered all the critics. He's answered all the critics. But if Kyrie and Harden go throughout this whole season and they go to the playoff, I just can't give it to him. I can't. I'm sorry, I cannot.
You make a very, very good point there in terms of KD didn't need to do it because Nets were a good team already. You know, they had that right there. They had a core. Levert, Harris, Allen, Prince. They had a very good core there. You know, they had DeAndre Jordan. They had everything there for me to win.
Oh yeah, I forgot about DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah,
is he still there?
Yeah, they had everything there.
DeAndre Jordan is still there as well.
Yeah, they had everything.
They got a good team. That team's stacked. That team's still stacked. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, he's gone under the radar in terms of a center, yeah, but he's still a very good center.
Yeah,
he's still a very good center.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a very good center. Bro, that team's stacked, bro. Listen, he's not getting no credit. He's not getting no credit.
They got Jeff Green as well. The team was good enough. So for him to go out there and get, you know, to make a big three does beg the question. What, as you said, what were you afraid of? Giannis, LeBron, Clippers, whoever else. So, because we know why LeBron got a big three. Boston had a big three. You know, he needed to get over that hump to beat that Boston team. You needed a strong team.
You needed to learn to win. That's what you needed.
And he needed to learn to win. But why? But KD already being a winner, why does he need a big three?
It's true. It's true. You know? It's true. It's true. Listen, at the end of the day, it's one of them ones where I don't listen. If it was me in his shoes, I'd do the same thing. But there would be like I've got like, and this is why I respect Giannis to a certain extent because Giannis doesn't want that stigma. He doesn't want to be like he doesn't want that. You had to go and join such and such to win a chip. Giannis is basically like, I want it to be me and, if possible, one other guy, and that's it. I don't want this big three. I don't want this big four sort of thing.
You can't.
Like, Giannis don't want that.
If Giannis did this at age 31 or age 30, then yes. But he's doing it at age 26. Giannis knows he's got time to go win a chip. So it's hard.
But I think the thing is, yes, he knows he's got time to go and win a chip. And if this doesn't work, by all means, then he's going to look at it and be like, you know what? I've tried to do it with one other guy and it hasn't worked. So let me now, like, when you get to that 31 stage, it's like, raw, time's ticking now. I've got to get the ball moving. But like, KD, how old was KD when he joined Golden State? Was he 26?
No, he was, how long was it? It was 2016?
So was he what? How old is he now?
No, they won in 2016, so he was 2017. He's 33 now.
33, so 28 when you joined them?
Yeah.
It's 28 when you joined them. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Giannis. But the thing is that what you got to remember is when you really deep it with KD, right? Bro, he's always had a big three wherever he's been. At OKC, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka, there was someone else, can't remember who it was. Golden State, Steph, Clay, Draymond. Brooklyn, he's got Kyrie, Harden, and if DeAndre Jordan can get back to when he first came into the league to looking like an all-star caliber center, that's another big four that he has. So he's always had these teams. So this is why, as much as I love KD and he's a prolific scorer, he's one of the best in the league today. And listen, people know me. I said it, like, when KD's fit, I don't want to hear nothing about LeBron. That's just how it is. But he's always had great players around him. So the fact that you've been in 3 teams and you only got 2 chips, it kind of makes me think about what your mental is when it comes to leading a team and trying to get over the line. Yeah,
no, I agree. I fully agree. This is why myself, I struggle to put him anywhere in the all-time list because he's a great player that should have been greater, but he's not because he's just always been on stacked teams. I know that Thunder team was young, but they were still stacked. Still stacked. When you think about talent, that team had talent up to wazoo. You know, when you think of the Golden State team, he made the most unfair team unfairer in the history of basketball. You know, and now he's got three elite scorers, you would say, on one team. So yeah, jury's out on it. What do you think, people? Where does KD rank in the all-time list? Where
let
do you
us
think
know.
he belongs?
Comment below. Let us know what you think of that. Just to wrap up on Harden going to the Nets. Where do you believe this team goes this season? What is it? Do you think is it the conference finals, NBA finals, the chip? What do you think is the actually, before you answer where they end up, what is the minimum requirement for this team?
Conference finals
Being a minimum requirement.
Yeah, anything else you've got you're gonna get a pandemic P situation. anything else you're gonna get Clippers Mark II, and they don't want that. I think they have to go at least conference finals here, and that's where I think they will go. I actually don't think they'll go further than conference finals, only because they have a high ceiling, but they've also got a very, very low floor. So because they got too many things to work out, and I can't confidently say that they are gonna work it out. I just can't confidently say that. So I believe they're just going to be conference finals. I think they're going to lose to either one of Celtics, Bucks, or Heat in the conference finals. I just don't see them reaching the finals this year. I think there's too many kinks to work out.
Yeah, fair enough. Me personally, the minimum requirement is the championship. That's their minimum requirement. Their minimum requirement is the championship. I can't say.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Maybe that's a bit harsh considering the fact that KD's just coming back and they got us started the chemistry issues. So for this season, and obviously we're in a pandemic as well. So, but this season, all right, their minimum requirement is the NBA Finals. I'm sorry, it has to be the NBA Finals. They have to get out of the East. I'm sorry, if they don't get out of the East, it's a failure. Even for this season, it's a failure. Their minimum requirement for the time, because I think KD after the season only got one more year. Is it? Or is it this season? Is his last year?
No, he's got one more year. He's got one more year. And then
or has he got player option?
Yeah, so it's going to be one more year. Then, so after this year, it's one more year, then player option.
Okay, yeah. So the minimum requirement for this season is the NBA Finals. It has to be, but this team has to win. With KD only having 2 years, they have to win the chip next season. So the minimum requirement this season is the NBA Finals. Next season is winning the chip.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. It's too stacked for them not to do it. If they don't get out of the East, it's a failure in my eyes. As far as I'm concerned, it is a Clipper situation. You're 100% right. It is 100% a Clipper situation, and it will. I think what this will show is what Kyrie's about. It will show whether James Harden can actually win a ring or not, or if he's just forever going to be a flop to this world who scored points and got MVP in the regular season, but then went missing with Harry Potter's invisibility cloak in the playoffs. And it will show if KD is a natural born leader or not. It's as simple as that. He'll never. KD will always forever be in LeBron's shadow until he leads a team to a championship, but not a stacked team like this, but a team that has one other great player and good pieces together. He's always going to be in LeBron's shadow, regardless.
I agree. I fully agree.
But yes, people, that is it from us for this evening. We will look to see what happens in the NBA and how James Harden makes his debut. Kyrie is supposed to be back. I believe it when I see it, and we'll see what KD does. But we're going to have a lot more basketball talk in and throughout the season. A lot more football talk, obviously. As you know, big game, Liverpool United coming up. I'm sticking to my promise. We win that. You will have your live match reaction. If we lose, you won't. And we are going to find tooth, and we are going to have that UFC preview with Conor and Poirier out for you at some point during the week. But I do want to say thank you to my guy, The Truth.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
As usual, as we say, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe on the channel. Let us know your thoughts. We want to know, is this Big Three championship or bust? Does James Harden have what it takes to get the ring? Is KD a leader? Where do you rank him in terms of all time? And do you agree with Kyrie that the earth is flat? We want to know all the answers to these questions from yourselves. But that is it for us for now. As we like to say, as we normally say, stay safe out there, people.
Yep.
Keep the family safe, keep yourself safe, and we'll get over this pandemic and over the hill. And hopefully when we get there, we'll all come together as one. But thank you very much to The Truth.
Peace, guys.